Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and I want to answer a really unique question I seem to get from you guys quite a lot. Is Jamie, how are you actually completing and buying these properties in just a week or two? And in this video, I want to talk about Indemnity and how it helped me buy a property in, get this, 1 day. And I'm going to be showing you how you can too. So I want to break down what it is, how you can use it, do you need it, and is it necessary to scaling your property portfolio? First of all, what is indemnity? If you hear indemnity or indemnity policy, it's essentially an insurance against a third party claiming against you for a legal reason. So let me give a couple of examples in this video, but one big one is boilers, okay? Boiler certificates. If you don't have a boiler certificate, you can get into some trouble. Not big, by the way, but some trouble if it goes wrong. So if you don't get a boiler certificate when you're renting out a property, what you can do is get an indemnity against that, an insurance against anything going wrong. What you'll notice as a commonality with indemnity policies, i.e. insurance policies against something legal, is they are extremely low risk. Extremely low risk. Like, it has never come a problem in building my portfolio. I've never actually heard of somebody claiming against it either, but I'm sure it does happen. But here's the key: if they do, it can be really high cost implications. So who actually puts together these indemnities? Well, a majority of the time it's your solicitor or your conveyancer. So a majority of the time it will be things like your boiler certificates, it could be planning permission. Let's say, for example, it's built but you can't find the planning against it, you could get an indemnity against that. You can see that it's done but it hasn't been signed off by building regulations, so you'd get an indemnity policy against that. It could be your local searches because of the time pressure involved, and you get an indemnity against that. Could be your boilers, your windows, or a really common one is restrictive covenants. So when you've got a leasehold property, the freeholder, I mean ridiculous ones. So there's a property that I bought that had a covenant put in, a restrictive covenant in the lease that said you couldn't bring a female home unless you were married to them past 7 p.m. on a weekday. What? Actually in the legal terms that obviously hasn't changed for many years. Ridiculous, right? Times have changed a little bit since then. It's 8 p.m. So how much does it cost? Well, actually, as I said, it's incredibly low risk, high payout. So because of the low risk element, it's actually incredibly cheap. You're typically talking one-off payments, first of all, as a policy. It's not a yearly payment. And it's usually between £10 and £50. Even search indemnity. So when you buy a property, you usually get searches on the property. This is really doing like a coal mine search, flood risk assessment, your local searches, and a few other bits, which usually will cost between £250 and £350, dependent on them. Most of them around £250. And would you believe it? The indemnity policy also costs £250. Well, so why would you do searches and why would you do indemnity? Well, this is where the speed element really comes in. See, when you're purchasing a property quickly, usually you'll be purchasing with cash, right? If you purchase with cash, what slows it down? Well, it's not the finance arrangements with surveys and the banks and things like that. It is the legal process. The legal process genuinely can be done in a handful of hours if everyone is committed to it. And actually, it's stupid at the fact it takes weeks because it's just an archaic system. There is a rant video likely to be out about how archaic the system is. However, once you've got everything in the contract pack, etc., the thing that takes the time is searches, especially the local authority search that can take anything from 3 weeks to bloody 8 weeks because Gladys is there, bless her, in the local council with a Zimmer frame. Gladys, if you're watching, I love you dearly and I'm sorry for mocking you. Walking to the filing cabinet 3 meters away, which, as we know, because she's not had any WD-40 greased up her hinges, it does take her a while because of her ankles. However, with an indemnity policy and insurance in place, this rectifies and mitigates your risk against the solution. Hence why we were able to purchase a property. We agreed a price around 10 in the morning and we completed by 2 p.m. The only thing that could get in the way is the searches, and we got an indemnity policy against it. So the question is, who should actually pay for this? Well, you might assume, well, you're buying the property, right? You're the investor, so you pay for any indemnity. But actually, that's not always the case. A majority of the time you will, to expedite the process. Now, that's the key. If it's to expedite the process, to speed it up, I personally think the investor should pay. The reason I say my personal opinion is there's no facts in this. Anyone can pay for the other person's legals. I regularly will pay for the vendor's legals to get the deal done quicker, right? So if it's speeding it up because it needs to complete in a week, I'm doing everything I can. However, if there is something that is maybe a bit more expensive, some policies can be a few £100, and it's because the vendor isn't supplying some very basic information like, I don't know, building regs, for example, for some works that are done. I don't want to take on the risk of that. I want an insurance against it if there's any issues at all. So what I will do is I'll say, look, that's fine. I'll take an indemnity, but the vendor needs to cover it from your side. And often the vendor will go, yeah, fair play, I'll cover the costs on that. Now, something to remember is, what doesn't it cover? Remember, it's about a third party claiming, and it's covering any legal expenses that come from that. So for example, the boiler is covering the legal situation of not having a gas safety certificate in the first place. What it doesn't do is it's not going to cover the cost of replacing the boiler. So something to factor in. It doesn't actually cover the cost of any damages or anything like that. So the question is, should you get it? I personally think absolutely yes. If I found a great deal that needs to complete in a number of weeks, I will pay for an indemnity. What my personal advice would be is, if you've got time to actually get the searches in, let's say you've got 6 weeks, that is plenty of time to get the searches in. If you get them paid for straight away, 6 weeks should be plenty, even with Gladys in the background, hinge her up, off she goes. Then get them, because you'd rather actually have the real documents in your hand rather than an insurance policy where insurance companies obviously pay for arbiters to not pay in situations. So I'll do everything I can to get them, but I feel absolutely fine and regularly do indemnify the searches. Hopefully today's video has been really valuable. I know it's a bit of a unique one, but it is a common question I get from both my investors and you watching this. So if you got value, let me know in the comments. Have you ever indemnified anything? Have you ever had a claim go against it? Did it pay out? Did it not pay out? What's your experience? Would you get an indemnity, yes or no? And let me know the reasons below. And if you got value from this video, if you could lightly smash the like button, hit the subscribe and the notification bell if you're new to the channel and you want to find out more about property investment. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.